She was arrested for a DUI in a couture dress. Her ex sued her over stolen jewelry, and her music video wedding ended in a coffin. So, never assume a beautiful woman is living a perfect life. Stephanie Seymour had everything: the money, the fame, the man. And then she lost control. Behind Stephanie Seymour's perfect bone structure was a collapsing personal life. The queen of the runway once crashed headfirst into addiction, lawsuits, and major heartbreak. But the way she climbed back, that's the real shock. Stick around for this one. This story is a wild ride back to the 90s you won't want to miss, to see how Stephanie Seymour became an unforgettable icon and left her mark on the industry. Stephanie Michelle Seymour was born on July 23, 1968, in San Diego, California, to an upper-middle-class household. As a teenager, she towered over her peers with long, model-ready legs and a radiant smile. But she wasn't satisfied being just another pretty face. At 14, Seymour spotted an opportunity. The inaugural Elite Model Management Look of the Year contest launching in 1983 with staggering competition. 23,000 hopefuls across North America. Her father hesitated to front the $15 entry fee, but her mother slipped it in secretly, and that small act would change everything in Stephanie's life. The now 15-year-old Stephanie found herself standing at San Diego's Grossmont Center on September 16, 1983, surrounded by hundreds of her peers. Elite's founder, John Casablancas, spotted her long legs and cute little face, and she won the regional round. That victory propelled her to Acapulco for the finals, where she competed against the likes of Cindy Crawford. But she didn't clinch the top prize. Because she didn't win, you might think her story hit a dead end. But instead, it was the start of everything. Stephanie Seymour returned home and didn't sulk. Instead, she took action. She began writing letters to Casablancas, filling them with doodles and riddles. Her persistence paid off. He responded with encouragement and soon invited her to join Elite. Stephanie was landing local modeling jobs in San Diego. Department stores, small campaigns, newspaper ads. It was humble work, but it gave her early experience and a taste of independence. Then, just weeks before her 16th birthday in 1984, Casablancas made a bigger offer: spend the summer in Paris and Rome. It was her first brush with the high fashion capitals that would shape her career and expose her to the industry's darker realities: power imbalances, fierce competition, grown men with too much influence. She was still a teenager, but already learning how high the stakes were. Not long after Stephanie Seymour returned from that game-changing summer in Paris and Rome, John Casablancas stepped into her story in a way that would change everything. By 1984, Elite was booking over $100 million in annual modeling jobs, and Casablancas had snagged names like Cindy Crawford and Naomi Campbell for his roster. That same year, Casablancas, now fully invested in Seymour's future, offered her a formal contract with Elite. This wasn't just about jobs. It came with training, guidance, and the promise of a real shot at superstardom. So, at 16, she moved to New York City, juggling correspondence classes while shooting for French Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, rising fast in a world that was beginning to define what it meant to be a supermodel. Because she was under Elite's wing and Casablancas' eye, her career moved at warp speed. But that eye wasn't just professional. Still just 16, Stephanie began a controversial relationship with Casablancas himself, her powerful boss and a married man more than twice her age. It blurred every line between mentorship and manipulation, sparking industry whispers and cementing her place in fashion's more scandalous chapters. Still, even inside that strange dynamic, Stephanie stayed focused, and her star only rose higher. By the late 80s, it wasn't just editorial jobs anymore. Stephanie hit the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue in 1988, 1989, and 1991, cementing her as a household name in American fashion. Then, in 1991, she walked her first Versace show in Milan, alongside other soon-to-be supermodels. It was during that show Casablancas' belief in her shone brightest. He positioned her where she'd catch the cameras, and she strutted in a black off-shoulder look that left jaws dropped. Riding that momentum, Stephanie caught the eye of Victoria's Secret, just as the brand was beginning to reshape itself. What happened next didn't just elevate her career, it helped redefine the very image of the lingerie model in modern fashion. In the early 1990s, they cast her as one of the first Victoria's Secret angels, a title that meant more than wearing lingerie. But you see, she did something different from all the other models. Supermodels like Stephanie didn't do lingerie shows, even if it was Victoria's Secret. However, all of that changed when Stephanie walked the runway. Because she had that steely confidence and razor-sharp poise, she instantly brought what many called raw sensuality to the brand, a quality highly desirable for this type of brand. The mid-90s catalogs were dominated by her pouty, angular glory, as Vogue later described it, turning high-waisted bikinis and push-up bras into icons of elegance and sexual power. Because she commanded attention, Stephanie became a fixture at every major Victoria's Secret milestone. In 1995, she walked in the brand's first ever televised fashion show at New York's Plaza Hotel, an exclusive event featuring only top-tier models like Beverly Peel and Helena Christensen. This was before the spectacle of wings and theatrics took over. Back then, it was all about presence, and Stephanie had it. By 1997, she was contracted as an official angel from 1997 to 2000, appearing in every major runway show through that period, even ringing the closing bell at the NYSE, a moment that turned lingerie elite into market movers. Because she stood out in lingerie, she gained leverage far beyond the catalog page. Fashion's elite took notice, Vogue covers followed, along with high-gloss editorials that blended silk, sensuality, and unapologetic attitude. Stephanie Seymour didn't just walk the runway, she commanded it. Her signature strut was languid confidence, a slow, sultry sway that captured every gaze without a trace of arrogance. Where others leaned on theatrics or icy detachment, Stephanie delivered approachable glamour, elegant, sensual, and utterly magnetic, not unlike what Heidi Klum would later bring to the runway. Her eyes did the heavy lifting, telling entire stories in a glance. That rare blend of classic allure and razor-sharp edge made her a chameleon, just as captivating in Versace's bold silhouettes in Milan as she was draped in silk for Victoria's Secret. Stephanie looked like danger wrapped in luxury, the blueprint for a supermodel who could project both power and vulnerability in a single step. But beneath the polished exterior, Stephanie's personal life churned with volatility. The industry she was starting to rule was filled with cutthroat competition and night after parties. Her sharpness on the runway masked a growing restlessness off camera, an edge that hinted at storms to come. And that edge followed her straight into one of the most headline-grabbing stories of her life, meeting Axl Rose, the wild frontman of Guns N' Roses, in a whirlwind that would blur the lines between glamour and rock and roll chaos. Stephanie met Axl Rose, the notoriously volatile frontman of Guns N' Roses, at the height of his fame in 1991. Because their paths crossed, a fiery romance ignited, and suddenly she was cast as the tragic heroine in a rock legend's epic narrative, appearing not just in fashion magazines, but in music videos that rewrote the rules of storytelling on MTV. Because Axl saw her as more than just eye candy, he cast her in the video for Don't Cry, released in September 1991. Its dramatic scenes of her struggling over a gun with Axl were not merely scripted, they were drawn from a real-life conflict they'd had. That video hit the top 10 in both the US and the UK, thrusting her into a global spotlight far beyond the fashion runway. Because she balanced strength and sensuality there, she became the perfect gothic muse for that era. Because their chemistry was electric, she was chosen again. This time for the $1.5 million epic November Rain, released in February 1992. Over nearly 9 haunting minutes, making it the longest song to ever chart in the Billboard Top 10 at that time, the video dramatized their doomed romance, a lavish wedding that collapses into tragedy. Her haunting portrayal of loss and the iconic coffin scene became cemented in pop culture lore. But because their love was fierce and public, it quickly spiraled. They became engaged in February 1993, and just weeks later, they separated. When Axl sued her in August 1993, accusing her of assaulting him and stealing over $100,000 worth of jewelry, she countered with her own suit, alleging physical abuse. Erin Everly, Axl's ex-wife, was even subpoenaed to testify about her own history of abuse while in a relationship with him. Things became messy fast, and the tabloids devoured every twist. Both lawsuits were settled out of court, No clear winner, just a trail of public scandal. Beneath the glitz of designer gowns and rock star romances lay a messy truth. Stephanie Seymour was caught in a collision between fantasy and real-life destruction. The cameras captured art, the headlines captured trauma. The end of the Axl chaos did not lead to the return of a trouble-free existence. Icons fall, and for Stephanie, the journey through tabloid hell led her to a pivotal crossroads: rehab, courts, and confronting her own reflection as both a fashion symbol for millions and a woman looking to resurface for air. Just a little reminder to subscribe to our channel. It's free, and free's the best. Wouldn't you agree? Unsurprisingly, more scandals followed, pulling Stephanie into darker chapters of her life.
And she's calling out these it girls like Kendall Jenner and Gigi Hadid, saying they aren't really super models. They are, bitches of the moment.
In 2000, amid her whirlwind romance with billionaire Peter Brandt, whispers of major trouble erupted when undercover paparazzi captured her leaving rehab at Silver Hill Hospital in Connecticut, where she'd been treated for a Vicodin addiction, sparking headlines about substance abuse in high fashion circles. Peter Brandt would later allege that she mixed Subutex, used to replace Vicodin, with alcohol, a troubling pattern that would resurface during their bitter divorce battle. As addiction rumors gained traction, Seymour was arrested in January 2016 for DUI in Greenwich, Connecticut, after crashing her Range Rover and refusing a sobriety test.
The former supermodel and music video star, who once dated singer Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses, is essentially knocking on Rehab's door after refusing a field sobriety test in Greenwich last month.
She was released on a $500 bond and entered alcohol counseling, a move that could lead to the charges being dismissed. Around the same time, during their bitter 2009 to 2010 divorce, Brandt accused Seymour of failing court-ordered drug tests, sometimes even skipping them, and urged the judge to ban her from drinking. Seymour vehemently denied the allegations, as public records revealed volatile behavior, blocking driveways, clashing with security guards, and allegations of neglecting her children. Seymour's image shifted. The once glamorous supermodel was recast in the tabloids as a troubled mother and unraveling socialite. The mix of substance struggles, legal battles, and high-profile scandals fueled what the press dubbed Supermodel Gate, a saga of pain and a very public fall from grace. Stephanie Seymour didn't just survive scandal, she staged a masterclass in reinvention, one that is still in use as a blueprint today. After the tabloid storms and a stint in rehab during the 2000s, she returned to fashion quietly, but with purpose. In 2014, Estée Lauder named her a global spokesmodel, proof that one of the industry's most prestigious brands still saw her as a face of timeless beauty and resilience. She never lost her camera presence, and in 2017, she proved it by launching her own lingerie line, Raven Sparrow. No longer just a muse, she stepped into the role of creator. The brand's quiet success reminded the industry she was more than a legacy name. Then, in February 2020, she stormed back onto the runway, closing Marc Jacobs' fall show at New York Fashion Week. With every step, she didn't just walk, she reminded the world she still owned it. Then tragedy struck. In January 2021, Stephanie's son with Peter Brandt, Harry Brandt, died at just 24 from an accidental prescription drug overdose. A rising fashion figure in his own right, Harry had walked for Balmain, co-created a unisex makeup line, and written for Interview magazine. He was just days away from entering rehab. Devastated, Stephanie stepped away from the spotlight, putting her creative work on hold to grieve, reflect, and begin the long process of healing. Her return was quiet but powerful in some ways. In January 2023, she posed for WSJ magazine wearing her late son's Saint Laurent suit, saying, "It still feels so good to put his clothes on," a tribute to his legacy that spoke volumes without needing to explain. Around the same time, she embraced a new role, grandmother. Family became her anchor, holidays, small moments, helping raise the next generation. It wasn't a comeback in lights, but in meaning. Her journey, marked by triumph, reinvention, and deep personal loss, was a testament to resilience, despite her struggles. Stephanie Seymour's legacy isn't just found on magazine covers or in the brands she helped define, it's in how she helped rewrite the rules of what a supermodel could be. She broke the mold not by chasing trends, but by setting them. Stephanie didn't just captivate fans, she carved out a new archetype. Her bold sensuality and unapologetic confidence still echo in the presence of today's leading models, from Gigi Hadid and Kendall Jenner to Ashley Graham, figures who often credit the original supermodels for expanding the definition of what's possible. Icons like Naomi Campbell and Christy Turlington have called her a mentor and a sister in arms, praising her ability to blend vulnerability with might on the runway. Even Donatella Versace brought her back at 50 to close a show, calling her presence timeless. A reminder that true supermodel magnetism doesn't fade. Stephanie wasn't just a witness to the industry's evolution, she helped drive it. The curve revolution, the rise of the model entrepreneur, the shift towards celebrating resilience and imperfection, these weren't trends she followed. They were movements she helped spark. As a Victoria's Secret angel, a Vogue favorite, and a Sports Illustrated mainstay, she challenged the idea that lingerie models were simply decorative. She brought storytelling, edge, and commercial impact to every frame. And when personal trials threatened to eclipse her career, she didn't retreat. She redefined herself. From launching Raven Sparrow in 2017 to walking Marc Jacobs' Runway in 2020, she showed that reinvention isn't a comeback, it's a form of power. Today, her legacy lives on in the generations she helped shape. So here's the real question. Is Stephanie Seymour someone to look up to? Or simply a public figure who endured life's struggles with the cushion of privilege? Maybe it's both. Yes, she had access, beauty, and opportunity. But she also faced addiction, public scrutiny, and heartbreaking loss, and didn't hide. Maybe resilience, not perfection, is what truly inspires. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. And if stories where beauty, power, and pain collide speak to you, don't miss what's next. The rise, disappearance, and defiant return of Linda Evangelista. Trust me, this one hits differently. If you enjoyed this story, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive, and we're truly grateful. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.